All right. Oh, I need to switch to this view. We rehearse it and everything. I'm like, okay, what's our order of operations? And then
there you go. Right out of the gate. Just
out of the gate
says we're human.
Here we are. And we are on the clock. Goal is set 20 minutes because we
20 minutes.
20
that's
minutes.
It.
So
we're going to make
this our to us promise. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is episode number 9. We're talking about Ultra LMS 3995. Sorry, 3900.95. That's our July 2024 release that we're going to be talking about. We've picked our top 5, and we are excited to have you join us in going through them together. Colleen, I was saying beforehand, I feel really out of practice.
Out of practice.
It hasn't been longer than normal. Just maybe we need to do these more often.
I think that might be that's what it's telling you, is that we just need to get in here and make more content because everybody wants to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. All 5 of them.
You got to start somewhere.
I know, totally. Yeah, it's good. And the people who are watching them are loving them. So you know what? To you 5, thank you very much. We appreciate you and your encouragement. Before we get in, just because we feel like this has prevented us from getting harassed or accosted, we'll just talk quickly. Just a heads up that we share and talk about what we see and observe. Feature availability is subject to change according to development progress. Some features may be rescheduled for later release. And I do think that we'll talk about this later. I think there's going to be at least one change that hopefully will come out with the release that we won't be able to fully demonstrate here.
Yeah.
Okay. Recapping last release, we talked about there was the announcements. You were able to post immediately and schedule delivery when creating announcements, filtering out the graded response when grading by questions. Student gradebook had an indicator added so students could see that there are new grades. There's the additional grader notes on student grades. And then there was also the printing for assessments. And I think maybe we talked about this last episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago that we discussed the fact that Anthology releases something and it's a step, and then there's another piece that builds on there. So if you're keeping track at home, take note of what's here because that's kind of what we've highlighted. I think there's a continued trend there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's jump in. We're going to talk about 3900.95. This is what's scheduled for July. So what's the date for that, Colleen?
July 4th.
July 4th. It should be hitting production, so stay tuned for that. Here are our top 5 as we go through there. When we think about Georgian College and our teaching community and our learning community, these are the 5 that we feel are probably going to be the biggest impact for folks at Georgian College. So, coming in, number 5, here we are. We're only 4 minutes in. Number 5 is a needs grading improvement for assessments allowing multiple attempts. When we skip ahead here, so needs grading, when you, so an instructor can choose to allow multiple attempts, obviously, and this has been brought to our attention, that can complicate how many assessments you have to actually grade. So if you're only grading the highest or the last attempt, then you only need to grade 1 for that student. Whereas if you're attempting, if it's, well, it says here, we'll just talk about this instead of me ad-libbing. So if you are you can change the drop-down menu for the filter to see how many you have to grade, and that will change as you see here in the table. So if you're wanting just to see their first attempt, or if you're grading based on their first attempt, and a student makes multiple attempts, then the first one will be the one that it will just say 1. If it's the last attempt, it's just going to say 1, as opposed to 3 or 4. So if a student does 5 attempts, but you mark their last attempt and you say you're marking their last attempt, then that student will no longer have anything to grade because you've done their last attempt. All attempts, if you are wanting to see all of them, then it will show that there are 3 if that student has done 3 attempts. And I think maybe I'll just jump into here on my other screen here. I've got the wrong thing open. Let me just pull this across, and contents and settings, and here we are. So this is, make that bigger. There we are. You can see here there are 5 attempts. We're grading all 5. When we go into the submissions here, this student has 3, which means there are 3 attempts to grade. Right, so if we come in here, it's going to tell us, I'm in that view, and it's grading. There are 2 students, but we have those 4 attempts, right? Because we're seeing that there are 3 attempts. There are 4 to grade right here. So 3 and the 1, so we've got the 4 total. If we change that we're not going to be looking at all attempts. We're going to grade just the first attempt. Save that and go into that same screen. Now it's saying there's only 2 because Liam has 1, Colleen has 1. Both of our first attempts are there to grade. And then again, same settings. Change that from 5 or from the first attempt. We're going to say we want to actually do last attempt. Save and go to submissions. And now it's showing still 2. Now if we do grade that last attempt for Liam, so you see I'm on Liam's student, and we go to the attempt, and we're on the 3rd attempt. This is mostly multiple choice and stuff, but if we scroll to the very bottom, there's a single essay question. We could filter that up here as well by questions if we wanted to, but I'm just going to go here and give them a grade. And now this one is graded and posted. And if we go back into this view, you see Liam no longer has anything to grade because that last attempt, which is the setting we wanted, has been cleared. We come in here, let's just change this to say, actually, I want to mark all attempts. Hit save, go back in, and you can see that there are still 2 attempts to grade because now I'm saying, oh no, I want to mark all of them. So pay no attention to the grade. I'm a much better student than this, but that's how those attempts are filtered. Was that a whirlwind way too fast, or does that make sense there, Colleen, or anything?
I could follow it, so hopefully so can our viewers.
Okay, excellent. If not, feel free to rewind, folks.
Very good point.
Yes. Okay, so that is number 5. Moving on. Number 4 is the needs grading improvements for students and question tabs. And this is very similar. It's the same sort of space. But instead of it being that filter for the needs grading for the whole submission, it's when we are looking at the questions tab. So if we come in here, make this big, Windows 11, I'm still getting used to it when it likes to stuff like that. We come in here, and this is the thing that I think, well, we'll talk about this now as we see this. When you switch this over to questions, and we can change this to needs grading. You can see here, come on. There we are, select this question. You can see here that there are 3 of 4 question responses to grade because you saw that I just marked that 1 attempt that my student user had done. But this is where so Colleen, you and I were looking at this this morning, just kind of getting ready to do this. And we noticed that there was no way for us to find these other attempts. So this Liam should have 2 more answers for me to grade, and I don't see them anywhere.
And just to throw that in there is that little caveat is that this is in our staging production or environment, not our production environment, because we are doing a sneak peek.
Yes.
So yeah, this is before it's being released to production. That's what makes it difficult. It's to be able to show it to you as if the functionality from Blackboard still has not actually hit the staging environment.
That's right. Yeah. And so, and good point. And this is kind of why we do it, and it forces us to get in there and poke around, is that we were able to then say, hey, oh, wait a second, because what we should be seeing, let me drag this onto the screen. Here we are. We should be seeing something like this here, where it has the attempt selector on screen, and then you can say, oh, I want, like this example. So Jessica, or sorry, yeah, Jessica has 2 attempts. Natalie has 2 attempts. And so we should be able to click this, select it, select the attempt that we want, and then grade that one right here. So we're not seeing, as you see in this tab here, we're not seeing that attempt selector. So we flagged that for Anthology, and we're hoping to see that come up. But if you only need the last response, then these are going to respect that. So if you're only grading the last attempt, then you're not going to see 3 of 4. You're going to see 2. Right? Okay. Moving on. I think we're moving on. And this is what we just talked about. So we'll keep going. Number 3, recording audio and video when adding per question feedback. So now you also, when you're grading by student or question, instructors can now provide contextual feedback as recorded audio and video, and instructors can add recorded feedback to all question types. So if you're doing feedback on an essay or a short answer, or any of those, essay or multiple choice or true false, all of those questions, you are able to just give that feedback and have that audio video recording as well, not as a whole piece, but also as a as an individual individual questions. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just drag this back onto the screen here for you folks. Again, there we are. So here's a multiple choice question. We are used to seeing this guy here. I'm just going to tuck this away to give us more space. And if we wanted to say something about why this is incorrect, we can click here and we can give audio video recording feedback. It's not going to work because I'm using my webcam, so I'm just going to close that there. But you can add your individual question feedback, including audio video recordings for your students. Okay. All right. That's number 3. Number 2, and we're getting close to our big one. Number 2 is now, and we heard this one a lot, is now you can send an email when you're scheduling announcements. So you can schedule an announcement to come out on a specific date. Let's just advance the slide. You can schedule your announcement, say, I want this to go out on Thursday or Friday or Sunday afternoon. And you can also have the email triggered to go out at that same time. So you're not sending an email now and the notification comes out later, and you're not sending the announcement later, and then the email have to follow or anything like that. It's all kind of connected. So you have that option now, which is great if you want to queue up reminders, right? If you want to make sure that your students know that this assignment is coming up and you want to nudge them and do everything you can send those announcements. And it's just a checkbox, right? Just a little send the email at the same time. Because it used to gray out, right? You always had both those options, but one would gray out if you used the other. Okay. Anything else before we move on to our final piece?
Nope.
Okay, here we are then. Number 1, our top pick for the version 95 is you can print your answer keys for assignments and tests. So now you have that option to print the whole thing. Let's demonstrate that just because it's fun. I'm going to close this window over here before I bring it back onto screen. And now I should say, here, I'll just advance this while you're watching me look off screen. I should say that this is, at the moment, this is still only for questions that are not in a question pool. They need to be individual questions, but let's bring this on screen here. Okay, so here's a color test. We talked about this last week, that this test is entirely in question pools. You can't print this one. So I'm going to do, we talked again, last release, we talked about this second version where we've taken that whole test and we've rebuilt it as a printable version. Now what you have is this, so this print button is here, and you have the option to print with the answers as well. So when you print this one, you see it pops up as a print modal, and here are all of the tests with the questions. So red is a primary color, is marked as true, blue is secondary, is marked as false, and so on and so forth. So you've got the true false here. You can scroll down. This is what the multiple choice looks like. Scroll down a little bit further, and here is what the matching question looks like. White is a tint, gray makes a tone, black makes a shade, and so forth. And then what's the last one is the essays. Here you go. Here's the essays. We don't have the feedback set for this, or like the model answer. Perhaps we should have put that in there to see what it looks like when we print this. And then you can just hit print. If you want to print a paper copy, click print. But in case you're not familiar, you can also go up and select your printer and say, actually, I want to save as a PDF, and that will save that as a PDF onto your device. All right, should I try that now that I've said it? I'm going to
Sure.
cut down here. There's the essay question. I'm looking at the clock. I've got 5 minutes.
You're good.
Talking fast, right? So let's go in here, edit, and we can give an example of a correct response. Students will identify a color of their choosing and provide sufficient. Okay, so we've got an example of a correct response. I'm going to save it there. Let's try that again. Scroll all the way back up. Let's see. Prediction, Colleen, do you think it's going to show?
I do.
Okay. We'll see. Look at that.
Told ya.
Right there. Aren't you glad we showed that off? You were confident. I'll be honest. I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know.
You can tell. You're like, I don't want to show it if it's not going to show.
But there it is. So you could put your feedback in there, which is great for when you're marking. So nice, handy little feature there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hit cancel. Drag this off screen and see where that brings us. I think that brings us pretty much to the end.
It does.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was definitely lighter this month. Therefore, I was confident that we could do it within our goal time frame. But yeah, it's sometimes we do have those really big, heavy hitter months, and we get really excited, and there's lots to say. And then there's times like this where they're nice features. Maybe not something that's going to change your life, although having the answers to your questions now, I think, is a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, in real time, I'm going to see if, because I'm confident in time.
Okay.
I'm just gonna check and see if I've heard a response back. Because no, I just got an out of office.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Well, again, I'm confident as well, just because something that to share now is that I do attend the teaching and learning office hours once a week. And right after this recording, I'm going to be going there. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone else has noticed that issue, or be able to just pop that into the chat and just bring it to the attention of Anthology, so that for sure when we go to production next week, we'll be updated and it'll be available. Sounds good. Yeah. Cool. Well, that is, look, 1923, and I've got a quick little outro 20 seconds ago. So that's it. If you anything we need to say? Drop-in sessions. Just a reminder, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 1:30, Thursday and Fridays at 10:30. You can find that link in your Blackboard calendar. And as always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Yay. Awesome. All right. Let's get out of here. Have a great day, guys. Bye.